Welcome to Off-World with David Eicher. This time we have a very, very special mineralogical episode. We're going to be talking to Rob Lavinsky, who is the chief and founder and one of the great adventurers in mineralogy. He has one of the great companies at a very high level of mineral collecting and extraction and promotion, the Arkenstone. So it's a real treasure and a treat to have Rob on with us. Rob, thanks for joining us this week.
Thank you, Dave. Good to be on with you. We've known each other for a lot of years, trading minerals and emails.
Indeed. Yeah, we've been acquaintances. I've been fortunate enough to get a few specimens from you here and there. And you are certainly in the middle of all the action in the mineralogical world. So it's a great pleasure to have you on here and to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. No, let's see who's listening.
Yeah.
We were just talking before you started rolling about collectors.
And we're collectors. That gives us something to do. I've got some minerals behind me. I've got some historical documents, other things, and you get infected with this kind of stuff. My father grew up and took a lot of Western trips back in the old days. We lost him going on 10 years ago now, but he grew up in the 20s and 30s when you could go out and when mines were open and did a lot of collecting. He was really interested in really sort of metal mining, gold, silver, other metals out west, Colorado and other things. So he wasn't quite so much into aesthetic minerals like most of us are today, but he infected me with that interest among many others. And so I've got a modest collection behind me here. But Rob, talk a little bit, if you would. You have a career in mineralogy and in the mineral business, unlike any other. How did you get?
So, to be fair, these are examples of the kinds of things we deal. We deal in collectible minerals that are of a level, we would like to say these are significant things. They're not just rocks from a rock shop. They're not just reference examples. They're things that we look at like art. And so I stumbled into this world when I was 12. Up in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
Rock collecting was rock collecting, and it was mostly for I was going to say old people, but people starting at about my age now. Yeah. Wow. And that was 40-something years ago.
Yeah.
And it was, obviously not online. It was not an international sport. It wasn't considered art or asset collecting. And so during my time, I've seen that change. But I got started with $1, $5, $10 rocks, things I'd pick up and sell myself initially. I used to go field collecting as a kid and had a hobby that was out of control. So I started doing small shows. The trade areas at mineral shows, they'd let someone come in without a business license, or I'd wheel and deal on the side to support my hobby. And then during my college years in the early 90s, it transitioned to a business, not just to pay for ever increasing expenses for things I wanted to keep, but also for a living. It was my business that helped me get through college to be a doctor. By the time 2001 rolled around, the internet had obviously grown into something. Suddenly I didn't look so foolish for wasting all my time on email and websites in the 90s. And, I guess there was a betting pool about whether I'd finish my doctorate at the time. I finished my scientific degree. I'm a biochemist, genetic engineering, and went full-time mineral dealing. So I'm a mineral dealer, but I'm not a mineralogist. I don't look at these things that way.
Sure. Well, that's really exciting. And being a biochemist from Ohio hits close to home. My father was an organic chemist, and I was from Oxford, Ohio, so not too far away from the center of the state there. So this is there. Maybe there's something about Ohio and science and mineralogy. It all kind of comes together here.
The Midwest grew a lot of collectors. There was a community, and it's close as well, Arizona, California. For whatever reason, the Midwest had a lot of these mineral clubs, for lack of a better word. And the Columbus, Ohio group took me under their wing. I was very lucky. I had mentors. I was going field collecting when I was 12 and 13. Working for a dealer there by the time I was 14. I don't know that could have happened in very many places. So I got lucky to be exposed to it. Today people rely on the internet, social media, whatever, but back then it was very personal. And someone had to, especially as a younger person, someone had to bring me in. And changed my life.
And there were mineral clubs, I'm sure, akin to, analogous to the astronomy clubs that are around as well, all these scientific topics. How did things get going? Because that's the mineral world was very, very different when you started in Ohio there. And how does one get traction at that time? Pre-internet, pre all of the kind of immediate communication that we have now, you really have to be infected with this kind of thing and in love with it and really get going with big momentum to do the kind of a thing that you did, don't you?
I spent my summers doing the show circuit in the Midwest, sleeping in the car. I didn't have money for the hotels, or if I did, I spent it on minerals. It took a lot of hustle, and through college, I was doing this nights and weekends.
Yeah.
Grad school, nights and weekends. But, with time, the website became a wave. I created a wave, along with a few others in the 90s, but I was the largest, and I rode the wave.
Yeah.
I look at it as baby steps. I look at it as all these foundational things. You get on email and you're selling rocks by email. Well, that's, everyone said I was silly and it was wasting time. Okay. Why not? I had time in a T1 line in college. Okay, I built a web. Well, okay, it sounds stupid, but I had time. These are all logical steps. And the business has grown in part in these pulses. Call it punctuated equilibria, right? For the science nerds. And we're in another pulse now where we're finally crossing from a natural history hobby into what I would say, I do say, is an art asset class. And we're bringing in a whole nother kind of demographic to collect these things. But you see that in meteorites too, the money and the diversity of people coming in. I see the meteorite auctions. It's the same.
Absolutely. And there are many people who are very well moneyed who do look at these things as nature's greatest natural creations, as artwork, as you say. That's really changed the hobby, the collecting, a good bit as well.
Yeah. So I think I've seen the same thing in meteorites, fossils, and minerals, and they're not all synchronous, right? Fossils got Jurassic Park. I don't know if Armageddon counts for improving meteorite sales, but we haven't had that yet with minerals. We're waiting for a good movie.
Yeah.
Of course, I named myself after Lord of the Rings, but it's a fictional gemstone.
Yeah.
We need something real. So if you come back in about a year and we talk again in a year, I think I'm going to have something for you that will get minerals, collectible minerals, into the mainstream consciousness and media. I'm hopeful. We'll see.
That's great. Now, you have a very unique story among mineral collectors and dealers and businesses. Because you have gone from, hustling and working hard and doing what you had to do from the love of mineralogy and mineral collecting up to a very elite level. You've handled very important specimens in a variety of locations all around the world and brought those out. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your adventures? Maybe the books will illustrate some of that.
I'm going to do this in drops. Case of minerals behind me. Because I have this book that's available online through Amazon or through the Los Angeles Museum. And essentially, the easiest way to tell you about this is to put it in front of your face.
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to show some examples.
Wow. Yeah.
Right. So we looked for things that are beautiful, that have a beautiful composition across a variety of mineral species. And we created an exhibition concept. So this is just an example. This is in the Los Angeles Museum of Natural History, and it's called Unearthed Raw Beauty. And what we're trying to do is get these things in front of people. This is another book that's on Amazon, Economies. And again, what you see is, first is beauty. So through beauty and symmetry, and of course there's sometimes long stories with these, I think that's the best way to get people engaged face to face. The website, everything's flat. Instagram, it's little videos. So if anyone is in range of the Los Angeles Museum, I would suggest go to the museum and see these in person. But we have Smithsonian, we have Houston, a number of natural history museums displaying beautiful minerals. It's just they're sometimes mixed with science and classification. And I don't know if that works so as well as it did in our generation to engage people. So I'm basically a proselytizer for the beauty of these things as natural art. And there's no one specific mineral we emphasize. Right? It's about the idea that nature is the source of beauty and color and geometry. And you can see that at a macro scale through these pieces. So hopefully more people will go to museums and then part these exhibitions I'm helping to produce and see that firsthand.
Excellent. I'm sure they will. And it seems like the awareness of this is developing pretty well. And what happens with the Tucson show and the Munich show and so on seems to be building. And there are a lot of incredible collections, incredible dealers out there. And of course, this is the way that, nature creates mineral specimens by electrochemical attraction of the right kinds of atoms that are in the right place and combine and make these beautiful crystals. And you've worked with some, so talk a little bit about, Rob, if you would, some of the adventures you've had, because you've collected, these are very elite specimens in many incredible places around the world, I know. And you must have some interesting stories about your travels and about getting some of these incredible high-level pieces.
So, to be honest, I don't go collect these things. You can't be there all the time waiting at the mine. That's not what I do.
Yeah.
I'm retail and education. And I have to say, my hat's off to the people who do.
Yeah.
It's crazy what some people go through to collect the minerals. And I will go look at a mine as something's being done. I can send you videos. Maybe we can add to this.
Yeah.
That you can slip in here, actually, a few short videos showing you crazy mining, particularly in China. But I have been part of a PBS television show we produced with Gary Thomas Nagin, and we were on PBS for 2 seasons about a decade ago. So if anybody wants to see those, they're free on YouTube. That's called Mineral Explorers. And we went to different locations. I wasn't thrilled when we approached a mine in Peru that happens to now be on an army base. And as we're approaching the machine gun nests, he warned us all to take apart the drones and stuff all the parts into our pants.
Wow.
Because no drones on the military base.
Yeah.
I wasn't thrilled when we went into the Andes Mountains for 4 days to film at, I think, 11,000 feet at one of the tungsten mines. And this is all on the YouTube videos, Mineral Explorers. And he decided to try ayahuasca one night. And so we lost our host and narrator for a couple days.
Jeez.
So I've been a little bit in South America. Mostly I just buy and sell things here. But in China, I'm very active.
Yeah.
So without going into specific stories, I will tell you, I've seen firsthand there what I hear older people tell me about their experiences in the previous generation. They've changed rural economies, completely and fundamentally changed how people live in these mining towns by exposing them to the fact that these are worth 1,000, 10,000 times more than what you could get crushing them and making ore, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole nother chain of discussion. There's a huge amount of value that a lot of the rural communities and mining communities don't see. So a lot of what I do isn't mining, it's education. And then they do the mining. And then I go and I buy stuff. It's not too risky. Yeah. I've had a lot of more crazy adventures in China than other places. Sometimes you have to drink with the owners before you go underground. So going underground in a mine is an after dinner thing while you're a little buzzed. Sometimes they're more buzzed than I would prefer them to be. And I've had some interesting experiences underground. A lot of miners, especially in China, smoke in that nice clean oxygen that you're pumping underground as the low oxygen monitor is beeping. We've had a few cave-ins occur while I'm in the mines.
That must get your attention in a big way, huh?
It does.
Ooh.
People who are used to it don't seem to worry as much as...
But nothing that's been really tremendously dangerous, I hope, has happened.
I would prefer to be further away from a couple of wall collapses.
Ooh. Oh, boy.
So to get these minerals, I mean, we should say this, to get things like this out of working mines, often they come out after a blast and before heavy machinery comes in. Artisanal mines, mine just for minerals, that's another story. But when you're in these large mines, there's a 8-hour to 48-hour period to collect these. Usually that is right after the blast. It can be unstable, especially at these deep underground metallic mines. There's a lot of different conditions in which minerals occur. And again, I personally am not there a lot, except to witness and look. But mining minerals takes skill. It takes persistence and perseverance, in addition to the normal technical skills and regulations of the mining industry.
Yeah. And the minerals coming out of China, relatively speaking, that's a relatively recent era, isn't it, that we're seeing a lot of collector specimens come from China?
It's interesting. We in the West are lucky. in ways we don't even know. We've had museums displaying minerals 500 years. It seems to be a Western thing for whatever reasons. So this is probably a whole nother show. For whatever reasons, the West appreciates these objects in natural history museums. And most Eastern museums, if they have them, they're more like natural philosophy museums.
Yeah.
You'd have the mineral, and instead of going into the geology, this is 100 million years old, formed in a copper mine. Why, how? It would say, look at the shapes. It would remind you of nature.
Huh.
And this is what we crush for use in, making copper objects.
Yeah.
So the whole culture was focused away from direct involvement in mining in Europe and America. A lot of the wealthy people that owned the mines were collectors. They would collect things from their own mines that were cool. Like, look at this cool natural thing. And they gave them as gifts to each other. And they gave them as gifts to our museums, right?
Wow.
The Smithsonian, the British Museum, these things a lot of them were donated. Asia didn't have that. So, the Chinese, Asians, they appreciate natural beauty maybe more than us. There's a 5,000-year-old poem about beauty and how in luck and health and prosperity, it basically says you need to have stones in your home to have a happy, healthy, prosperous life. Okay, they love nature probably more than our culture, but they were disassociated from what these things look like in the natural state. So there was no circumstance, there's no mining schools, there's no mining colleges, there's no families that preserve the treasures of their mines to donate because there's no museum to put them in. And so things weren't preserved. So until the Western influence about collecting these got to China in, say, the 80s and 90s, there was no culture in which these would have been saved. Why would you save them? What would you do with them?
That's really an interesting change compared to the history in Western culture, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
And in fact, some people think it has to do with why we have the Industrial Revolution. We destroy things. We see a mineral, okay, again, malachite, and we destroy things to analyze and learn about crystallography and molecular makeup of this particular crystal, right? They didn't do that. They would harvest it, look at it. It's beautiful on its own. And, it's not a reductionist approach. So you don't get refined mineralogy from that. But, and you might think they needed it, but they didn't. They did just fine exploring for mineral deposits using other methods. We would do core samples. We would have geologists a couple of hundred years ago looking for traces of metals and trying to analyze it. They would use botany, flowers, essentially, to detect metallic deposits. So,
yeah,
it was very diverged. And now all of a sudden, yes, the Chinese in particular are hosting shows, online forums, books about minerals as beautiful subjects. These are all Chinese minerals, by the way. I mean,
wow.
if you look at these things, there's just something magical about them.
Fantastic Stibnite, presumably, eh?
Yep. Yeah. So for those watching, so here's another story. This is the ore of antimony. This is literally the commercial ore for antimony. It's called stibnite. It's made of antimony and sulfur. It's antimony sulfide. And it occurs in deposits that might have some commercial rare earths we're now recognizing. So antimony is now on the banned list. You can't export stibnite out of China easily because of the association with rare earths. So this is worth less than a dime probably for the antimony ore, but that specimen is worth $10,000. You can do the math on what a deposit might produce that collectors would value compared to what it would commercially yield. And for most of human history, the value was the crushing and melt value.
Which is now reversed in many cases.
Which is now reversed.
Yeah.
I'll go get a bigger one.
Yeah.
So here's it.
Yeah. That's unbelievable quality. Oh my God.
So again, if we're looking at this and people are looking at minerals for the first time, let's tell a story. So this came out in 2003 from the first commercially mined major deposit in modern Chinese history, where they were aware of the value and of the internet and of the market in the West for these things. So before that, let's say this pocket was the size of 2 semi-trailers, and it might be worth $8,000 to crush the antimony and put in a market for all the uses that antimony has in the world. 5,000 years ago, this was crushed to make eyeliner. And in fact, the bust of Queen Nefertiti, the old Egyptian pharaohs, that eyeliner is antimony. Okay, so today it's used in industry. And this miner, this was 2002. He heard that this crazy professor in Beijing was paying real money, lots of money, more than anything was worth for crystals. So he called him. So initially sold this pocket, let's say this cavern of Stibnite blades, this was found from, for what he thought was a lot of money, $80,000. A week later, the mine owner was contacted by someone else who'd seen photos leak out, and he sold it again for $800,000.
Wow.
And the first guy luckily had taken one of the largest, buckled it into the passenger seat of his car and driven back to Beijing and got something for it. So the $800,000 translated to about 10 million in retail value at the time. Maybe more because a lot was put away. Figure 20 million. Today's value would probably be 200 million on that market. Okay.
Wow.
So you can see how this would change rural economies.
Yes. And really change the dynamic of what some of the well-informed mine owners are doing, presumably.
Yes.
No problem.
So a lot of people need to hear numbers like that to understand the changes during this one. And I've been fortunate to see in the last 40 years to help drive it. And again, it's part of what it's side is the value of these things as objects. Obviously, there's not prices in the book, but it shows these things in a way things that look valuable because we're displaying minerals the way other museums display works of art, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, something like this would be on a custom base, usually with a label.
And what is that specimen, Rob?
Special cases. That is a Wulfenite. That's a Wulfenite from Xinjiang in far northern China. So you can't mine more because they don't allow dynamite there anymore because of disturbances. So a lot of places are like that. Minerals come from a time and a place. Another misconception is that just because the mine is there's a hole in the ground, that you'll always get minerals there. It's not the case. One of the best examples is Tanzanite gemstone. We've all seen it pop up over the last few decades.
Sure.
That's generational. I mean, they're over 1.5 kilometers down in the earth. How much longer is it going to last? Comes from one place. So in the mineral values, that figures too. All this context, together with the beauty and the look of the mineral, determines the value, right? Same as meteorites, same as fossils, same as.
Fantastic. Wow. And you've handled, Rob, a lot of very elite specimens. Are there some particular specimens that stick in your mind that you've enjoyed handling, that you've dealt, that you have passed through your hands, that you have now? Are there sort of superstar specimens that you have in your mind at the kind of elite level that you and your business have operated on?
Well, yeah, that's the piece. It's in the Los Angeles Museum now, so people can go see it. That's a fluorite from China. That's about that big.
Nice. Wow.
That is one of my favorite rockets.
Wow. Yeah.
And it shows I'm committed. I'm committed to my art.
Absolutely. You can't go back there. You're all in. Yeah.
I'd like to challenge you to get a tattoo of your favorite meteorite.
I may be too old for tattoos. I don't know, Yeah.
You're never too old. They say it stimulates the blood flow in the immune system. They told me that many times.
That down on the list of things to contemplate, definitely.
Yeah. So that's my favorite personal mineral, and I do collect Chinese minerals. I recently had what's the word? Blessing?
Yeah.
To handle a silver that is among the world's best silvers. And I have no words. When I first saw it, I laughed. So it's a silver about yay big. So yeah, I have a favorite thing I've sold recently is this.
Wow.
So this is a silver. This is a silver that's about the size of a volleyball. A little bigger maybe. And so this is the kind of silver that's been found for hundreds of years in Norway in a mine called Kongsberg. And what's interesting is most of the specimens were destroyed because the Lutherans were mining silver to melt and turn into coinage to buy weapons to fight the Germans, the Catholics, who were mining silver in Saxony. So you have these two world's greatest silver mines in Saxony
with each other. Yeah.
and Kongsberg. And they were mining the silver and turning it into weapons. And they could have just kept all the silver.
Yeah.
So for hundreds of years, these things were saved for a few museums and to give as collecting gifts. When royals did the tour of Europe, the continental tour. And truly major specimens we thought were all locked up in museums. So it turns out that in 1937, this thing came out and sold to one family in the early 40s, and it came to market recently.
Huh.
And, you know, for me to get to hold it, it's you're holding a treasure of history, right?
Yeah.
This sold for a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, but it's the best. I mean, you just don't, even in my world, we're jaded. You don't see things like that outside of a major museum. And
Right.
yet here's this treasure. It had been buried for 100 years and turned up. What is it worth? It's priceless.
It's hard to put a price on it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that goes back, presumably, I don't know exactly when it was collected, but that's one of the oldest mines when it comes to organizational mining, isn't it? I mean, it goes way back. Yeah.
400 or 500 years. This came in 1937. But I get to hold these things. I get this vicarious thrill. I'm a temporary curator, if you will, of these treasures. I keep for myself what I can afford to. You know, which is a struggle. I like to keep Chinese minerals. I have built a large collection of Chinese minerals, which matters to me. They're not all world class. Some of them are sentimental.
Yeah.
But, you know, you want to keep something. To me, that's my soul as a collector, even though I'm a dealer and other things. And we are just curators of these treasures. I have one friend who's a director of a major museum, and he says, I said, well, why aren't you more aggressive buying this stuff? He says, everybody dies. Minerals got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And over time, these drift into the museums so that they can be seen. These, you know, it's a very blunt assessment, but he's not wrong.
Sure. But it's despite what you do, what you hold on to, what you pass on to other collectors or museums, it's a nice infection to have this in of mineralogy, you know.
Our community is so broad and so diverse.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how much it has changed my life to be a part of it. It's just generally really good people. Most people are in this for the passion. Even those with the money that are collecting this as an investment, as an asset, they still have to be passionate about this to collect minerals instead of Ferraris or wine or old bars, right? If you just want stuff, you can buy gold coins.
Sure.
People who do this at all levels genuinely love it. I think there's very few dealers that are not collectors themselves. Even.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what level. $100 minerals, $1 million minerals.
Yeah.
I think most of us have the same passion.
Sure. Talk, if you will, a little bit, Rob, about your dealership and what you do, where people can find you, your website, where they can find you at the shows. Tucson right here is one of the great ones. Of course, we look forward to seeing every year here, but talk a little bit, if you would, about how people can find you, because you have extraordinary minerals in your dealership.
Thank you. So, as we said before, when I was getting stupid, I mean, first invoice, and then it was stupid. I put up one of the early websites. We still have it. I think I'm the largest website in the world. That's iRocks.com, IROCKS. And about 20 years ago, I started a companion website called MineralAuctions, which I feel is sort of the gateway drug to getting into minerals as a collectible. We sell 6,000 or 7,000 items a year at auction. Wow. So I'm not setting the value. It's set by a primarily knowledgeable market to which people can come in at auction and play. So I have a large web presence on both of those sites. We don't do a lot of shows anymore. I used to do a dozen a year. We do Tucson, Denver. I used to do Munich. I used to do several shows a year in China. And probably this is my last year of doing a few shows in China. They're a lot of work. It's stress. So Tucson, we're in the bright pink building in an area called Mineral City. If people go to town, it's hard to miss. Yeah. But, they can just go to my website, iRocks.com, and see where we are and get on our newsletter.
Excellent. And they certainly should. To be connected to the mineral world at all, they have to be connected to you. This is a premier dealership where things are really happening that you don't see in other areas. So you've got to be connected to Rob, to iRocks, to the Arkenstone.
I appreciate it. I mean, there's a lot of social media now. I think we're really the central sources of information and frankly, comparative knowledge and context for the whole hobby. I really do. But it is diversified like I never could have imagined. And once you get online, it's a treasure hunt. There's a lot of websites. I think we're still the largest. social media now has thousands of people, including direct sources, and you see videos. It's very easy. So there's a lot more information than there used to. When you and I were growing up collecting, it was a void of information. I had to go to shows just to learn what's going on. I had to talk to people every day. I couldn't just sit home and look on the internet. It's changed.
It's a really different world now. And Rob, maybe that leads into another question I had. What would you say to younger collectors who are really just getting into this stuff, getting a collection going, who are discovering the magic, if you will, of how substances form minerals on our planet and so on? It's an amazing thing to get into. What would you say to younger collectors who are just kind of getting going in the field here?
I would say learn a lot before you start buying, whether it's from me or others. There is a lot of context out there for what makes a beautiful mineral specimen, what makes a collectible mineral specimen, as opposed to reference. I got to be honest, some people have the eye and some don't.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you can train that. That's something for psychologists to debate. But if you want to learn what a good mineral is, there are sources. Again, I'd say start with my website. We have a lot of archival information, and we have a link to something called the Dallas Mineral Collecting Symposium. It's at dallassymposium.org. We have 15 years of archived videos by people much more expert than I am, who have been to places, and they give you firsthand experiences in mining, context, science. Those videos, I think, are a priceless archive. And I would say just, start buying at whatever price point you're comfortable with, a limited amount of things, and you put them on a shelf and you look at them and you see how they make you feel. And then pause, find a friendly dealer, say what you want to do, and get someone to work with or look in my auctions.
Yeah, absolutely. And the auctions are a great place to build a collection over time.
I think they are now. I'm not going to say they've always been.
Yeah.
When we first started doing the auctions, it was cash flow and lesser things. Now I buy entire collections to turn over to the auction. So I think we're in a unique time and place where a lot of the collections built pre-internet, say between the 50s and 2000, are turning over, right? It's unfortunate, but that's the wheel of life. And these collections have to go somewhere. So instead of dragging them to shows endlessly, I have a model where I might pull 5%, 10%, and the rest goes to auction. And so there's opportunities as I'm trying to sell these big collections now and for the next decade. I don't think you'll have again, because the collections built in the internet era are more expensive. They were built with more information, more context, higher prices. I think the next decade is a treasure hunt for everybody who's buying minerals while there's quantity of older stuff available. It will not be that way again.
That's really, I mean, that is really invigorating to hear, though. Yeah.
So right now is to me the golden age for people to buy things from the golden age of mineral collecting. We have purchased a number of major collections, and using the auctions to disperse them is very equitable. It opens it to a lot more people to collect good things at whatever price point. That's never been done before in quantity. So it's all an experiment and process. But again, the collections people are building now, I think most collectors are not going to have thousands of pieces. It's just not economically possible in the way it was in the past when minerals cost less.
Yeah.
So it's a good time. People have to, you learn what you're doing and remember to try to buy something that is unique in whatever way. It could be $100 mineral that is unique, and that's better than something that's just representative. Right?
Very good words.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. And there's
always...
God. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and why do I spend all the time and money doing a museum exhibition in Los Angeles? For this reason. Go see things face to face.
Yeah.
The best places to see things now in this country, face to face, that are good. I will tell you, the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., the American Museum in New York City, Rice Northwest Museum in near Portland, Los Angeles, Houston, Denver. There's a number of good museums. If you live up near Canada, go to the Seaman Museum in Upper Michigan.
Yeah.
There's a number of good museums, but still not really more than a dozen that display great minerals. in a way that makes them look beautiful. But there's no substitute for making the time to go look at things face to face. I think it will inspire people.
And doing that at shows, is the opportunity to learn so much as well. So whether it's Tucson or somewhere else, there's nothing like that. Like the opportunity to learn a tremendous amount by seeing a lot of specimens in person as well, as well as at the museums.
You encourage people to visit the Tucson Museum. It's actually a group of 120 cities spread across 40 or 50 miles of Tucson, spread across a month from January to mid-February. So there's no need to show. But if you want to go to the show, you'll learn the most from as a new collector coming in. I would tell anybody, go to the Tucson Gem and Mineral Society show. It's egms.org or .com. I don't remember. Tucson Gem and Mineral Society is what we call their main show. The convention center in Tucson. That's usually the second weekend in February. And then you get not only things to buy and booths to look at, from just to get contests, but you get exhibits. You'll see things by collectors ranging in age from 12 to 90 something.
Yeah.
And exhibiting their collections. And if you're only going for a few days, I would go there, to be honest. The rest of the city is like a Turkish bazaar. Just movies of all qualities, all mixed up all over town. It's chaotic.
Yeah.
Main show makes sense, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I'm there for almost 3 weeks. Our venue is down the road from the main show in a pink building in what's called Mineral City. And we have people come in and out over 3 weeks of our life there.
And that's really a quasi-permanent building now where a lot of dealers are there year-round.
Oh, some dealers are.
Some of them,
back in Dallas.
Yeah, but that's kind of become, I can remember the old days, when various hotels here and there were kind of the locus of most of the fine dealers. Now that Mineral City area is a major center where a lot of the really fine dealers are there.
Correct. Or the whole strip, really, from Mineral City down to the convention center on the Oracle Road. So, again, there's no one Tucson show for those people watching this who might think they're going to come. I would suggest end of January to the Chaos, or the middle of February to the Tucson Gem and Mineral Society show.
Yeah.
It's worth going.
Excellent. Well, we all will look forward to seeing you again there and seeing all of your great stuff. I'd love to do this again, Rob, and talk more about all kinds of things, but I really appreciate you being a guest on the show today.
Thank you. It's an honor. Much appreciated.
Thanks so much, Rob, and thanks for devoting your time to this. It's been incredibly interesting, and you've shown some amazing specimens. You're really in a unique place in this hobby and in this world. So we really appreciate being in touch with you.
It has been a lucky run over 40 years.
Yeah.
I was in the right place in the right time and ran with it.
That is a good adventure. It turned out very nicely. We approve of all of this, the way it's happened. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Dave. And thanks to your team making this possible.
Thanks so much, Rob. And we'll see you next time on Off-World with David Eicher. Rob Lavinsky, the great Rob Lavinsky, has been our guest today. It's been a great pleasure, and we hope to catch up with Rob again soon. So check out iRocks, check out the Arkenstone, check out Rob at the shows, and you will see among the most elite and fantastic offerings from a mineral dealer. It's well worth checking into at length. Thanks so much, Rob. We'll talk to you soon, and thanks for doing this.
You bet. Have a good day.
Take care, man.